Earlier today, I was actually praising the Right Honourable Gentleman, the Leader of the Opposition, and today I am able to quote him because his words are words of wisdom. He said on the 24th of September 2019, exactly 1 month ago, this crisis can only be settled with a general election. That election needs to take place as soon as this government's threat of a disastrous no deal is taken off the table. We have met the condition he set. The Prime Minister has got a deal. No deal is off the table, and yet, for some reason, the opposition still doesn't want a general election. But, Mr Speaker, we know why this is. We know why they won't have an election. It's because they're afraid of the voters. Of the voters, so feeling disenfranchised are they with their socialist friends that the socialists are running away from an election.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. What an extraordinary business statement once again from the Leader of the House. It just simply confirms that this Queen's speech has been nothing but a charade, a simple electioneering stunt. Mr Speaker, for us, the priority remains we need to see that extension secured, and that extension must be long enough to protect us from the cliff edge of their no-deal Brexit. And we've seen the Prime Minister's letter to the Leader of Opposition, Leader of the House, and we need to know that this Tory government cannot play any games to trick or to use an election period to engineer a way to secure their no-deal Brexit. The SNP are clear. We want this opportunity to stop this Prime Minister and to stop this toxic Tory Brexit Scotland didn't vote for. And, Mr Speaker, if there is to be an election, that election should be the chance for people to pass their verdict on the deal and for this House to reflect that, and that should come first. Tomorrow, the EU will make a decision on an extension, and we await patiently confirmation from Brussels and the terms the PM proposes. We will not be pushed today by this Prime Minister, because he might be hoping the electorate will fall for his contracts, but the SNP most certainly will not.
Oh, Mr Speaker, isn't it not saddening that Scotland the brave used to be the call that we would get, and now it's Scotland the runaway, Scotland the let's not have an election. The SNP, who wish to challenge the government, actually want us to stay in office. I never thought that the broad coalition of the United Kingdom would have the Scottish Nationalist Party supporting a Tory government remaining in office. I look forward to that appearing on our election leaflets. But it occurs to me, Mr Speaker, that tomorrow is St Crispin's Day, the anniversary of Agincourt. What a good day it might be for us to meet and show our independence of spirit.
Mr Bernard Jenkins.
Can I thank my right honourable friend for his statement? And can I just remind him that people in this House are blocking Brexit in the name of the sovereignty of Parliament. But whose is this sovereignty? What sovereignty do we hold that does not come from the British people? And shouldn't now the British people be allowed to decide who represents them in this House?
Mr Speaker, as so often I bow to my honourable friend's constitutional expertise. It is quite clear that the sovereignty of this House did not fall upon us like a comet from heaven. It comes to us from the British people. It is the people's sovereignty delegated to Parliament. We need, as we are incapable of using it, to return it to them and ask them to have another election and decide how their sovereignty should be used.
It's absolutely fascinating, but we're not going to embark upon a philosophical discussion on the matter of sovereignty. This treats of the business of the House for Monday. Nothing more, nothing less. Brevity is required. Mr David Hanson.
Mr Speaker, I just want to be clear with the Leader of the House as to whether or not his motion on Monday is under the Fixed Term Parliament Act.
Yeah, good question.
Yes.
Sir William Cash. Mr Speaker, irrespective whether people are Brexiteers, Remainers or Reversers, does my right honourable friend agree that the fundamental question which will be before the House on an early general election on Monday is about their democratic decision to be governed by themselves through their representative in Parliament.
I agree entirely, Mr Speaker.
Thank you. Christine Jardine.
Much, Mr Speaker. This House had 41 days for Maastricht, 25 for Lisbon, and now the Prime Minister expects us to rush through this legislation in fewer than a dozen days. And he expects us to do that because he has failed. He tried to prorogue Parliament in order to rush this through and get us off the cliff without a deal. He has failed. The Liberal Democrats will not support this until we can be sure that this country will not be crashed out of Brexit and the electorate has the choice.
It's always exciting, Mr Speaker, to discover what the position of the Liberal Democrats is, because it changes like a weather vane.
Crispin Blunt.
Does my right honourable friend agree that if the President of France stands firm and declines us the extension, that there is still plenty of time next week to get the withdrawal bill passed by this House and in the other place, given the position all of the other side have taken on the unacceptability of no deal, and then the general election itself can then decide who is negotiating the future relationship between the United Kingdom and the European Union?
Mr Speaker, if there were a will to get the bill through, it could of course be done. Yes, my honourable friend, my right honourable friend, is absolutely right, and that it would satisfy the European Union, it would get the deal done, we would have left, and we could do it by the 31st of October, and that is what we should aim to do.